Hey guys, welcome back to Magic TV. My name's Craig. It is 9 o'clock on a Monday. It's time for a 5x5. Now, this is where I take 5 subjects related to magic. I spend 5 minutes talking about each subject, and then I move on to the next subject. It's always quick, it's always snappy. You never know what you're going to get. Now, today I'm doing a kind of a 5x5 special. I'm going to be performing and talking about 5 routines, 5 card routines that involve writing on the back of cards or on the front of cards. I love routines where cards have been written on the back of or on the front of. I just love them. And I think one of the reasons is when you're, as a layperson, a deck of cards is a sacred thing. They've probably been using the same deck of cards for 30 years and they pull it out every time they want to play Snap or something like that. And the thought of destroying that by writing on it, that's a thought that would never come into their mind, right? So when as a magician you start writing on the backs of cards or you show that you've written on the backs of cards, I think it kind of just really gets people to pay attention. Also, the other thing is when you're involving ink, everybody knows you can manipulate a card. They don't necessarily know how you can manipulate a card, but everyone knows that, using sleight of hand, you can do some crazy stuff with playing cards. But when you're dealing with ink, permanent ink that's written on a card, that's when things become a little bit crazy. And you're going to see that over and over again. So what I've done on this video, as I say, is I've taken 5 of my favourite card routines that involve writing on the cards, and I'm going to perform them and explain them to you. Now, I will not explain them, I'm not going to teach them, but I'm going to tell you where you can get them from. Now, I will say, I probably know about 40 or 50 routines that involve writing on the back of cards. Like, I'm really not kidding. I know so many. So if you'd like to see a follow-up 5x5 on this at some point in the future, please let me know, because I'm more than happy to kind of go down this route again. And hey, I could probably put 25x5s together just based on Jay Sankey material alone. There's certain people that spend a lot of their life writing on playing cards. Chris Congreve is one. Jay Sankey is one. Richard Sanders is one. David Acker is one. Basically, if you're Canadian, you're going to write on the backs of cards. Or Canadian or from Birmingham, it seems. But anyway, we're going to get into it. We're going to start off by a routine. We're going to start off looking at a routine by Gary Jones. Now, if you don't know who Gary Jones is who I consider to be one of the, if not the best close-up magician in the UK. You don't see him very often. He was on the scene a lot more a few years ago. You don't see him very often these days because the dude is busy working. He's busy going out and just gigging. He doesn't have time to hang out with magicians. He's gigging his ass off. But he has published, created, and released some of the best commercial magic ever. He's also one of these people that's just incredible at everything he does. Coin magic, check. Card magic, check. Mentalism, check. Stand-up, check. Comedy, check. Ring and string, check. Rope, check. Absolutely everything. In fact, very quickly, my favourite Gary Jones moment was about 20 years ago when I was watching him do a lecture. And he did the funniest thing ever. And he said it was his opener at his lecture. And he walked out on stage and he said, look, I'm going to put my hand behind my back. I'd like you to name a number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And somebody named 2. And he brought his hand out like this. And he had 3 fingers up. And the audience laughed. And he just rolled down his sleeve. And written in Sharpie all over his arm was off by 1. Which was just the funniest thing you've seen. And that sums up Gary Jones perfectly. He doesn't take himself too seriously. He doesn't take his magic too seriously. But damn, is that guy entertaining. And you're going to see it right now. The first routine we're going to be looking at that involves writing on cards is Not Chosen by Gary Jones. So what we have here is a pack of cards. And I will tell you, Jack, just in case you didn't know, I do a lot of card tricks.
No, don't say that.
Like, I do a lot of tricks. You pick a lot of cards, I have a lot of cards picked. And this deck of cards I've been using for a long time. In fact, there's probably a few that have been signed by you and other people. Alan, okay, that one's not you, but I'm sure you're in there. I don't think I own a deck of cards that you aren't. Oh, there you go, that's naughty word. No one look at that. That's what happens when you gig for real people. You end up having people write stuff like that. But anyway.
Real people. My wrong.
Real people. I will tell you that this deck of cards I've been using for a while. It's close to getting thrown out now. But every single card in this deck other than one has been chosen.
Right.
At various different points when I've done tricks, every single one of these cards has been chosen other than one. So let's try an experiment. Jack, is there a particular card you want?
4 hearts.
That one there, are you sure?
Yep.
You can change your mind if you want to. I don't want you saying later on, I made you pick the 4 of hearts.
I want the 4.
You want the 4?
Give me the 4.
Okay, you can have the 4. 4 of hearts. Please remember, anybody watching this, I gave Jack a free choice, and if he didn't want the 4, he didn't have to have the 4, but he wanted the 4. That was his choice. Remember I said that every single one of these cards has been chosen but one?
Yeah.
It's true. It really has. In fact, what I did with this deck is a little experiment. Every single time somebody chose a card, I actually marked it so I know it had been chosen. That's how I know every single card other than the one being chosen, because I wrote on the back of it, being chosen. I wrote on the back of every single card if it has been chosen. Look, been chosen, been chosen, been chosen, been chosen. Every single one of these cards in this deck have been chosen, been chosen, been chosen, been chosen. All of these cards have been chosen. Like I said, there's only one card that hasn't been chosen, and that's that one there, not being chosen. There's only one. There's only one that's not been chosen. All of the others have been chosen. Every single one of these cards, and I'll go through to the very, very end, every single one of them has been chosen, as you can see. Every single one of them, all the way through, they've all been chosen, other than one that's not been chosen. Now, Jack, what was the name of your card again?
4 hearts.
And I said you can have any card. Here's the crazy thing. The only card that's not been chosen happens to be your 4 of hearts. All the others have been chosen. There's only one that hasn't, and that's the 4 of hearts. And you were able to figure out exactly what that card is when all the others have been chosen. But there's a problem.
Yes, there is.
Do you know what the problem is?
The fuck's that possible?
Well, no, that's not the problem. The problem is, technically I'm lying, because now you chose that card. That card has now been chosen.
Yeah.
So now we have to make it as being chosen. And now every single card in this pack, all the way through, has been chosen.
What the hell?
There you go.
Oh.
So if you look up the phrase commercial card trick in a dictionary, you're going to see a picture of Gary performing this trick. This is such a commercial routine. It really is, and I don't know why more people don't do this. Yes, you have to take a complete deck of cards around with you in order to do this, and every card has been written on the back of, but you're basically left with a regular deck of cards that you can examine. At the end of the routine, you can give them the cards, and all of the cards have got not chosen on them. I think this is as strong as any other gimmick deck that you could take around with you. And if you're performing walk around and you've only got time to do maybe 2 tricks or 3 tricks, or you're doing banquet and you've only got time to do 2 or 3 tricks, this is as good a choice as almost anything else out there that you could do. A few things that I love about this. First of all, I love the hook. I think that magicians don't spend enough time thinking about hooks to tricks and what to say to grab people's attention. This is an incredible hook that just really grabs people's attention immediately. Second of all, it's very, very easy to do. It is literally a double undercut and double lift, and that's it. There's nothing to it. The deck's examinable at the end. You don't need a table. It can all be done in the spectator's hand. It is a completely free choice to do of card. And here's the thing, it instantly resets ready for the next table. So as soon as you put it away, you're ready to go again with a completely different choice. Honestly, Gary could market this trick if he wanted to with a specially printed deck of cards for $20 or $30, 20 or 30 quid, and people would be buying it until the cows come home. It is that good. I just love, and here's the other thing, by the way, nobody ever sees the finale coming. They think that the trick is that they've named the only card which has not chosen on it, which is obviously the first phase, and it's a great trick, and if it stopped right there, that's a really awesome trick. But then, you know, you've got that wonderful kicker, and I dealt it onto the table here, but normally in a walk around situation, I'd deal it onto somebody's hand. It's that incredible moment when you go, well, the thing is, the card's been chosen now. And they don't get it at first. And you go, you know what happens when the card's been chosen? And they're going to go, no, no. And then when they turn it over and they realise it now says, been chosen, forget about it. That's it. They've lost their mind. So this trick is brilliant. It's absolutely amazing. It's a perfect example of writing on the backs of cards, which makes the trick a lot better in the minds of the spectators. I think this is one of the most commercial tricks that you can do. And I originally learnt this from Life's a Beach Volume 1, which you can get as an ebook. He published Life's a Beach through, I think it was Magic Scene. It's two, he brought out two books, Life's a Beach Volume 1, Life's a Beach Volume 2. But then Chris Congreve published a book a couple of years ago called Last Chris and Jones. And it was all of Chris and Gary's best material amalgamated into one book. And this was included in there, as it should have been. So you can pick that up from Chris, from Stellar Magic, or you can get it from Gary's original Life's a Beach. Either way, it's brilliant. And now we're going to move on to another routine. And I mentioned Jay Sankey earlier on. I don't think we could do a video on writing on cards without actually including Jay Sankey at least twice. And we're going to look at Forgery now. Now, Forgery is very, very old. I first learnt this from the Collected Almanac, Richard's Almanac. It was published in the 80s in Richard's Almanac. And then I bought it in the 90s as the Collected Almanac. And I think it was very early on in one of the first editions. Now, since then, Jay's published it in a bunch of different places, including most recently, I believe it's in his Vanishing Ink Definitive Sankey book set. But I've been doing this for a very long time. This is one of the very first routines that I learned of Jay Sankey's. And it's a killer routine. It's easy to do. So let's have a look at it. This is Forgery by Jay Sankey. Jack, question for you, buddy. Have you ever seen the film Catch Me If You Can?
I have.
Great film, right?
Good film.
And obviously, for those of you that aren't aware what Catch Me If You Can is, it's about a forger, a master forger, who is basically a kid and starts forging checks and becomes very, very rich and, ends up joining the FBI.
You literally fight it till it can make it.
Exactly. Well, you might not realise this, but I'm actually a master forger as well, Jack.
In a shocking twist.
Yeah, no, I really am. But I will never get caught because I use magic to forge stuff. Let me show you what I mean. We'll have a card picked. So as I go through, just say stop.
Stop.
There, you sure?
Yep.
One more cut, or is that it?
That's it.
Perfect. It's not a card trick, so I'm allowed to look at the card. The two of clubs. I'm allowed to look at what that card is.
Okay.
Because this card is going to represent a check. And obviously, if you've seen Catch Me If You Can, you know that the goal to any forger is to take the information out of a check and put it onto another check that you can then use, right? Mm-hmm. So to represent all of that stuff that's on a check, I will draw a cross. Easy to follow, there we go. So this cross is going to represent everything that I'd want to take off that check. It might be the monetary amount, it might be the signature, how the ink, how the person writes their signature, absolutely everything. And it's important that you can see that that doesn't come off. It's not like it's a trick ink or anything like that. Nope. So as a magician, this is how I would forge a check. Let's say I wanted to take that information and put it onto a different check. All I'd have to do, well, watch the two with the cross on it. All I have to do is just push down.
What?
And I can put it onto a different card. That's how it works. It's now right there on the ace. It doesn't matter what it's on because obviously the point is it's now on a different check and I could hand this and become rich beyond my wildest dreams. And in essence, I'm not using typical techniques that forgers use. I'm using magic. I'm actually taking that information and moving it from one check to another. I mean, it looks like magic because in a way I'm using magical techniques, but it's not magic. It's just the fact that I can take that information off one card and put it onto another card. And if you see it actually happen, it looks like magic. Like you see the X on the back of that two of spades, right?
Yeah.
It's almost like you see it getting dragged off.
What?
Now, the problem with being a forger is eventually you're going to get caught. Even his character, which obviously based on a true story, even his character in the film, he got caught, right? And if it was me, I wouldn't have got caught. And the reason is, because I'm a magician, I can actually put that information back on the original check. So currently it's on this 4, but if I want to put it back on the original check, it's super easy. It's barely an inconvenience. Just like that. And now it's back on the original card. And I can do this as many times as I want to. But I want to show you something really crazy. Because if you're really good at this, and I mean really good at this, you can do this. Watch. I'm going to take the card and tear it in half. Just like that. Can you see that?
Yeah.
I'm going to put the X right here, like this. And what I'm going to do is hold your hand out and put your other hand on top. Watch. 1, 2, 3. Lift up your hand, because that is how you can permanently forge one piece of information onto something else. And now, my friend, you can have that as a souvenir and proof that I am indeed a master criminal. So that's Forgery, and you know, I've ever since I watched Catch Me If You Can, I've used that presentation about Catch Me If You Can, because everyone's seen that film, everybody knows what that film is, everybody understands the concept of forgery when you bring up that film, and any time that you can kind of present a trick and make it kind of something to do with something that people can relate to, that all the better. What I love about this is, in a way, it reminds me a little bit of Richard Sanders' stickman trick. Not stickman times 4, that's a totally different thing, the stickman trick. Now, if you've seen the stickman trick, you'll know what I'm talking about. I think this has a slightly better premise, to be perfectly honest, because of the whole forgery thing. My favourite moments in this routine are the first phase and the final phase. That first phase, where you take the card and you've drawn the X and then you just pull, and now it's on the next card down and you show that it's not on that card. That is such a strong moment. And then I love the end where, you know, you've pulled it back onto the original card, and then the moment where you tear that card in two and fuse the X onto the other piece, and now you've got two pieces with an X. That's genius for a few different reasons. The first reason it's genius is it's a beautiful ending to the routine, and it gives them a souvenir that's kind of very unique. But the second thing is the way that this routine is constructed, without getting into method, the way it's constructed is at the end, when you're left with one card with an X on it, that can't be examined. That card cannot be examined at that point. And you can't give it out to somebody, so you would have to just put it away. But the idea of Jay tearing the card in half and doing that extra moment of magic does so many things. Not only, as I say, is it a really cool giveaway, and it's a really cool moment that can happen in the hands of the spectators, but the other thing is it cleans up the gimmick. It takes the gimmick that can't be examinable and makes it completely examinable and turns it into a giveaway. That is genius thinking by Jay, and it's something that more creators should actually think about when they're actually performing their magic. So yeah, I mean, that is Forgery. It's another one that's great. One gimmick card that you can have in your pocket. You put it on top of it. I say a gimmick card. It's not a gimmick card. It's 10 seconds. And 10 seconds. 2 minutes and you've created 20 gimmicks that'll last you the whole night, the whole weekend. But when I do this, I just have a couple of them in my pocket. And when I've done it, I stick another one in and you're good to go. If you don't do Forgery, it's a fantastic trick and a perfect example of Jay's ability to create magic with markings on cards that are really strong. Now we're going to move into one of my routines. Let me look at my notes. Yes, we're going to go into one of my routines now. This is an unpublished routine, and it will be published on the Netrix at some point down the line. We've got a big back catalogue of stuff that we need to upload at the moment, but this will be one of them. This is called Sticky the Stickman from Stickville. Now, this routine came about from a routine that I published many, many years ago, which is also on the Netrix, called Stick Pack. Now, the first time I created Stick Pack, and the first time I published it was on my DVD Parlor, which was the last DVD I published before I left the Magic community. And I'd already made the decision to leave the Magic community at that point, but I was contractually obligated to do this final DVD. And Parlor was basically a 2 DVD set. The first DVD was a 45-minute Parlor show, and then the second DVD was me breaking it down and teaching how it all worked. And Dave Penn loved Stick Pack so much that was actually the lead image on the front of the DVD. Now, Stick Pack involved a full gimmicked deck of cards, which is a great gimmick deck of cards, and I still do it now, and you can learn it on the Netrix. However, I wanted to be able to do a variation of that with a regular deck. So I was able to do it with one gimmicked card. I was able to come up with a way of doing it with one gimmick card that I can add to the deck at any point. And that's what Sticky the Stickman from Stickville is. So let's have a look at it. I think this is the first time it's appeared on video, and then we'll talk about why I like it so much. It uses a pack of cards, Jack.
Right.
And before I begin, I'm going to take out... Well, I'll let you choose. I'm going to take out a 4 of a kind. I normally go for the aces. Are you okay with the aces?
Sure.
Yeah, okay. You can do whichever one you want to. It doesn't have to be the aces. And before I begin, I want to have a look at the aces and check them out and make sure they're okay. Make sure there's nothing weird about it. Make sure it is just a 4 aces. Have a look at the fronts, have a look at the backs, have a look at everything. You'll understand why in a second. I'm having you look at it all. Check it out and make sure it's okay. Is it okay?
Look normal.
Good stuff. I'm also going to get you to pick a card. So the idea here is I'm going to bevel the deck like this. I'm going to riffle down the deck and I'm going to have you say stop. And you can say stop on any card. I'll show you the card. But don't stop on the bottom card because I've seen that one. Maybe somewhere more towards the middle. Okay, so anytime you want to, just say stop.
Stop.
Right there. Are you sure?
Yeah.
So this is the card. Could you look at that one?
Yeah.
You got it? In fact, you can sign it if you want to. I've got a pen here. Do you want to take this pen and just sign it on the face and then we'll bury it down in the middle? I'll look away.
This is very hard at this angle.
You're doing great, Jack. Can you see the card over there, Michael?
Yeah.
Good. I want you to see that card goes down in the middle of the deck and we'll get back to it a little bit later on, okay? Now, the only thing we're going to use right now are the 4 aces. We're going to put the rest of the deck over there in front of you. Because you might not realize this, but most magicians that work on stage have an assistant that helps them in the show.
Yeah.
I actually have an assistant that helps me in the show. Can you hold your hand out for me? His name's Sticky, the stickman from Stickville. This is Sticky. You can hold on to him right there. He's invisible, but don't worry, we'll make him visible in a bit. Now I'm going to show you what he can do because he's actually an acrobat. And this is kind of weird. Have a look at this. I'm going to use the 4 aces. So that's the first ace, the ace of hearts. That's the second ace, the ace of clubs. We've got the ace of diamonds and we've got the ace of spades. The 4 aces, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. Now we're going to start off with this one right here, the ace of clubs. What I'll do is I'll cover up the ace of clubs for a minute. Just take Sticky the stickman from Stickville and throw him at the pack.
I won't kill him.
No, he's fine. There you go. And what that does is that makes him visible. There he is. There he is. Sticky the stickman from Stickville. There he is. Now, like all good secret assistants, he actually has friends as well. He has another friend, and this is his girlfriend, Sticketta. Can you hold on to Sticketta? She's also from Stickville. We have 3 aces left. We'll use this one right here, the ace of spades. Do me a favour, just throw Sticketta. There you go, and just like that. There's Sticketta. It looks very similar to Sticky, but not different person completely. Let's do this again. We've got two aces left. We've got the ace of diamonds and we've got the ace of hearts. Hang on, let me get his brother, Stickson. So you can hold on to Stickson, and you're going to just pop him right there on the ace of diamonds. We'll just put the ace of hearts over for a split second, and there he is, Stickson. Boom. I need all these assistants to help me with the trick. You see, this is very important. That leaves us with the ace of hearts. This is the last one. Can you hold your hand out one final time for me? That's amazing. We have a 4th stickman here. Can you guess his name?
Bob.
Let's go with that, shall we? Let's go with Bob. Do me a favour, pop Bob right there on the card.
There you go, Bob.
There you go. You just wait a couple of seconds. 1, 2, 3. There he is. There's Bob.
Hello, Bob.
And now we actually have 4 stickmen. We have Bob. We have Sticky, we have Sticketta, and we have Stickson. 4 stickmen. Well, 3 stickmen and 1 stickwoman. Can you hold your hand out for me? I'm going to put them there, just like this. And what I want you to do is, with your other hand, wave your hand over and make the most magical noise you know.
Zambrina.
That's great. What that does is that gets those 4 stickmen, 3 stickmen and 1 stickwoman, sorry, to find your card.
All right.
Because you see, they've vanished off the 4 aces. Vanished off that ace, vanished off that ace, vanished off that ace, vanished off that ace. And now when we look down in the middle of the deck, hopefully, with any luck, all 4 of them have landed on 1 card and 1 card only. And not only that, they've landed on your signed card, and you can have that as a souvenir. And now you've got your own little family of stickmen: Sticky, Sticketta, Stickson, and Bob. there for you. So, first of all, I love Magic with stickmen. There's been a lot over the years that I've performed, and I still perform. Cheap Labour by David Acker from Random Acts of Magic is great. Stickman by Richard Sanders. Stickman times 4 by Richard Sanders. Obviously, you've got Kieran the Mighty, Kieran who did the stickman with the cannon thing, which was very, very good. Lots of different versions of stickmen tricks that have come out over the years. This one was, as I say, it was massively inspired from Stick Pack, but I didn't want to have the same ending as Stick Pack, which is basically a color changing deck where every single card has got a stickman on it. I didn't want to go down that route. But what I did want to do is I did want to have the whole concept of stickmen appearing on a 4 of a kind, and I wanted them to find a selected card as well. So them finding the selected card, that was inspired by Stickman times 4. Obviously, anybody who knows Stickman times 4, completely different method of getting to that point. But I wanted to get to that point where the 4 Stickman vanished and found the selected card. And it took a long time to get to that point because I couldn't use the same methodology behind Stickman for Stick Pack, because if anybody who's learned Stick Pack will know it wouldn't have worked, especially because I wanted to use a regular deck of cards. And it was only when I realised that an old John Bannon bevel force that he originally used in Stranger's Gallery would work with the whole thing, that everything came together. So it's very strong. I love this routine. It's slightly different to any of the other routines we've talked about so far. And the reason is, in all the other routines, you're openly writing on the cards. So in Not Chosen, you've written Not Chosen on the cards. In Forgery, you've drawn, you're openly drawing an X on a card that they pick. With this, the ink on the backs of the cards are appearing by magic. It's almost like they're just appearing there out of nowhere, which I love. I love that thing where you take a 4 of a kind out and boom, they're just appearing, and then all of a sudden they then disappear and they find the selected card. I love this so much, and I love that it's not just a packet trick with the stuff appearing on the backs of the aces, but you've got that moment where the whole thing makes total sense by having the selected card found as well, using the stickmen. And you can get into it any time because it's a regular deck of cards. You just have to add 1 gimmick card. You can get out of it at any time that you want to as well. You're left with a regular deck. If you want to reset it, you can do so instantly. There's no table required. There is a palm at one point, there's a side steal, but you don't have to do that. There's other ways of doing that. It's just that that's my favourite way of doing it. And it's a very commercial trick. And I love the appearing stickmen concept. Works for adults, it works for kids, it works for everybody. It's one of those universal card tricks. So there you go. That's Sticky the Stickman from Stickville. We're now going to go back to Jay Sankey. Like I said, you cannot do a video on writing on the backs of cards without including Jay a couple of times. So we're going to include Jay again. And we're going to talk about probably my favourite Jay Sankey trick when it comes to writing on the backs of cards, and my favourite use of the Erdnase change, which is ship in a bottle. If you haven't seen it, this is a super fun routine to perform. Let's have a look at it. So, Jack, how you doing? You okay?
Yeah, I'm alright.
Good stuff. So I've got this deck of cards here, Jack. 52 cards, 52
possibilities.
But this is not a card trick, Jack. This is me teaching you how to do something that a lot of people consider impossible. We are going to have a card picked, but it's not going to be about finding the card. Do me a favour, just say stop.
Stop.
Perfect. Like I say, it's not about finding the card, because we're going to look at it together in a minute. What this is about is the art of putting a ship in a bottle. And we'll use your card, the 2 of hearts. Are you happy with that one?
Yep.
Okay. So have you ever seen a ship in a bottle? A small bottle, big ship, and the ship's in the bottle?
Yeah, my granddad used to have one.
So do you know how it's done? There's 2 ways.
You have to get little tweezers and like...
Yeah, there's 2 ways. The first way is you build the ship and it collapses all down, and then you put it very carefully into the neck of the bottle, and it's a piece of string attached to a particular point, and then you pull on the string that pops the whole ship up, and then the string separates and you end up with the ship in a bottle and it locks in place. Very difficult to do. Very few people can do it. There's another way to do it though, which is to use magic, and that's how we're going to do it. I'm going to take your 2 of hearts. You can take the lid off the pen for me. Thank you. I'm going to... Okay, this is harder than I thought it would be. We're just going to... I say we, I'm going to do a drawing. Now, please bear in mind that I'm a magician, not an artist. So this is probably going to be the worst drawing of a ship in a bottle that you've ever seen. But I think people will get what I'm trying to do here.
I mean, kind
It's a
of.
ship and a bottle. And you can have that. There you go, you can hold on to that. So, like I said, there's two ways to get in a ship in a bottle. The first way is this ship would be made all claps down. You'd put it in through the neck of the bottle. You got to get the right type of bottle. And then the piece of string is pulled and that pops all up and locks in place, right?
Yeah.
The other way is the way the magicians do it, which is by magic. You see, what I can do, and do me a favour actually, can you just sign the back of that card for me so that you know it's actually your card? I've kind of taken up the real estate on the front, but you can sign the back.
How nice of you.
Because you're going to get this as a souvenir as well, as a memento to keep forever. Thank you, Jack. There we go. Perfect. So, the other way to do it, as I say, is to be a magician, which is what I'm going to do. Do you see the ship?
Yeah.
And do you see the bottle? If you're a magician, you can just push the ship in the bottle, which sounds ridiculous, but it looks like this. Watch. Do you see the ship in the bottle, yeah?
Yeah.
Watch the bottle, because all I do is that.
Hey.
And I can actually push that ship right there inside that bottle. The ship is now pushed inside the bottle. It's still got your name on the back, which means that you can keep this as a souvenir, and every time you look at it, you can remember how impossible it is to do that.
What?
Pretty crazy, right? Now, I love that routine, and there's a few reasons I love it. The first reason is it's just a very easy routine to do. There's nothing difficult. As long as you can do a double lift and nerd nose change, you can do the trick. There's nothing difficult about it. I do it slightly different to Jay. The setup is slightly different, but I love that it makes such a cool giveaway because you're having them, once you've drawn the ship and the bottle on the card, you then use the pen and you give them the pen and they sign their name on the back of the card. And that's great because then at the end you give that card away and it's got their signature on it. It's just proof that what has happened has happened. And I have given this away. And look, I'm not stupid. I know that a lot of the time when we give spectators a souvenir and it's just a card that's been signed, they'll chuck it away a lot of the time. Or you'll go to, you'll leave the gig and there's a couple of cards, whatever. It doesn't matter. With this, people genuinely keep this. And I've gone and seen people, as I say, I used to do this a lot in restaurants, and people would come back to the restaurant the week later with the card and go, oh my God, you got to do this again. And luckily, it's something that you can make up on the fly, even if you haven't got it with you. It's also, I love the hook line. We've talked on this channel over and over and over again about the importance of hook lines, what you say to grab people's attention. We talked about it with Forgery. This is another great hook line. Do you know how you can actually put a ship in a bottle? And the way I describe how to do it is actually the way that it's done. And people find that really interesting. So a lot of people don't actually know how you put a ship in a bottle. They find it really interesting. And then when you say, well, I can do it a lot quicker as a magician, I also think that this is the best trick to practice an Erdnase change. And the reason is the Erdnase change is, normally to do the Erdnase change, it has to be a very graceful, beautiful wave and the card just changes. But with this, you're wanting to have that moment where you're apparently putting the ship into the bottle. And because you've got that moment, you can have kind of a bit of a rubbish Erdnase change and you can still do this routine. Which is why I love it so much. But yeah, I mean, look, it's very quick, it's very visual, makes a great opener, makes a great closer, makes a great middler. You can just add those cards into the deck, you can do it anytime, anywhere, and it's one that, the reactions you get from this, especially when that ship goes into a bottle, the reactions that you get are so much stronger than they should be. And a few years after Ship in a Bottle came out and he published it, I think it was originally in Sankey Panky, possibly, or Sankey Panky, I think it was in, possibly. But it's in the Definitive Sankey. It's definitely in the Definitive Sankey. But a few years after he released this, he brought out Locomotion, which was a gimmicked card where the diamond on an ace of diamonds got pushed forward, and it was the same concept. You push that diamond forward and you can give it out as a souvenir. And as good as I thought Locomotion was, I actually think Ship in a Bottle is better, and you don't need a gimmick card. You can just get yourself a forcing deck, make yourself up a bunch of gimmicks, and you're good to go. So you can learn it from the Definitive Sankey. That's a good place to learn it from. It's also, I believe, in his L&L DVD set, his original 3 DVD set from L&L, which you can get as a download. Either way, it's amazing. It's called Ship in a Bottle, and also I think it's the only trick in this set that I'm talking about where the signature, where the writing is on the front of the cards. Not chosen is on the back. The stickman trick is on the back. Let me look at my notes. Forgery, I suppose technically forgery is on the front and the back. You'd write it on the front. Okay, ignore me. But it's still a fantastic trick. Anyway, we're going to look at the last one now. Now, we started this whole thing off. Am I on the last one? Yes. So we started this whole thing off with Gary Jones, with Not Chosen. We're going to finish this off with Gary Jones. And I have never met anybody who has seen this trick before. This is, I said that Not Chosen could be released as a 30 quid trick and people would buy it and would love it. This could be released as its own packet trick. Very, very easily. This could be released as its own packet trick and you could charge 15 quid for it or something like that and people would buy it in spades and then some. But you can make it up in seconds. You just need to buy a copy of Life's a Beach, Volume 1. And you can get that as an ebook and then you're going to learn this. It's called Yours and Mine. It's a great packet trick, especially if you're kind of the sort of person that wants to convince people that you can influence them. Let's have a look at it. I've got 6 cards. Pardon? 6 cards, as you can see. And it doesn't really matter what the cards are, but you're going to select some of the cards by choice, some of the cards by chance. And my goal, hopefully, is that I can influence you to do exactly what I want you to do. It doesn't always work, but I can try and influence you to do exactly what I want you to do, even though you're going to feel like all the decisions are yours to make. So, we're going to start by you making a choice. There's 6 cards. I would like you to give me a number from 1 to 10, including 1 and 10. Whatever number you name, I will put that many cards, one at a time, under the pack. I'll give you the card. So, what number would you like?
3.
3. Are you sure? Yes. So that would be 1, that would be 2, and that would be 3 right there. Boom. If you'd done 4, it would have been different. 5 would have been different, so on and so forth. Okay. Now, we're going to leave it up to chance. I'm just going to do an Australian deal. It's called an Australian deal because you go down under. Look, 1 goes down, 1 goes under. 1 goes down, 1 goes under, 1 goes down, so on and so forth. That leaves us with 2 cards. Now, this is your next decision. We randomly ended up with these 2 cards. You can have both of them, or you can have one of them. I will tell you right now that this is the end of the experiment. Let's call it an experiment. So if you want both of them, they're both yours. If you just want one of them, you can choose which one you want. Whatever you don't end up with, I will have. So if you want both of them, I'll put them both there and I'll be left with these 3. But if you want just one of them, the other one will be mine. So it's totally your choice.
I'll have just the 6.
Just the 6. Are you sure?
Yep.
Now, if you want to, you can change your mind. Are you happy with that?
Yep.
Okay. So you actually ended up leaving me with these 4 cards.
I did.
And you ended up with these 2 cards. Would you say that that was a choice that you made throughout? You were completely. Did you feel influenced?
No.
No. Here's what's interesting, Jack. You left me with the 10 of diamonds, the Jack of spades, the 3 of spades, and the 5 of clubs. I never showed you the backs of these cards. If I had shown you the backs of these cards, these are all red back cards, and every single one of them says mine on it, because all of these say mine. And the 2 cards that you have been left with, they have blank backs, and they say yours. Proof positive that I was able to influence you.
What?
Now, isn't that a great trick? Isn't that an awesome trick? I just love this routine. Now, I do it slightly differently to Gary, just in case I don't want people moaning at me. Not in terms of technical, the technical side of it. It's exactly the same. But what when I made this trick up, I used blank back cards and I used red back cards. Gary talks about using red back cards and green back cards. Small difference, but I used blank back cards. But other than that, exactly the same thing. This is just further proof that Gary Jones is a genius, is a national treasure, and should be protected at all costs, because this is just so strong. It reminded me, when I first read it years ago, it reminded me a little bit of 8-card brainwave, right? It reminded me a little bit of 8-card brainwave. In that they pick one and you show that all of these are, red-backed, and there's the only one that's blue-backed. I was like, this is just like 8-card brainwave. It's a variation of 8-card brainwave. And it's only when I actually started learning the routine that I'm like, no, this is so much better than 8-card brainwave, because the cards can be examined. You've got moments in there where rather than just making one choice of a card, they're making multiple choices. Like, it's a free choice of number at the beginning. They can pick any number they want to. They can pick to have one card or two cards. They can pick whichever card they want you to have. Like, there's so many beautiful moments in this routine. And it's instantly reset. You just take the cards, you put them back in your pocket, and you reset, ready to go again. If you're doing this is a great opener. If you're wanting to go into kind of more of a mentalism stuff, I tell you where I used to use this an awful lot, and I haven't done it this way in a while, but I used to use it before going into the invisible deck, the classic invisible deck handling. I would do this first of all, and I'd say, well, maybe now I can see how you work. I can see how your brain works. We're going to see if we can take this one step further. We'll use an entire deck of cards. And I love the fact that this led into that perfectly. Now, this is something I still do to this day. In fact, I was doing a gig 2 days ago, and I did this 2 days ago. I love this routine. So it's a little bit different to all the others. It's writing on the backs of cards, but the writing on the backs of the cards is the kicker. It's not like you're manipulating the ink. It's not like you're making the ink appear. It's not like you're making the ink disappear. It's not like the ink is changing. This is a kicker that happens at the end, just when they think that they've made a series of random choices and it makes no sense as to why they've made those choices. You then show them that everything was predetermined. And I absolutely love this. So it's called Yours and Mine. It's by Gary Jones. I don't know if it was in Chris's book, but it's definitely in Life's a Beach Volume 1. And it's great. So let's wrap this up. So there you go, guys. That's another video in the bag. Another video all about cards with writing on the backs of them and routines that you can do with it. Now, it's over to you. Do you want to see another one of these videos? Like I said, there are hundreds of routines that you might not have seen that involve writing on the back of cards. If you'd like me to do another one like this, please let me know in the comments down below. I can only make the videos that you guys want to see, and the only way I can know what you want to see or not see is by looking at the comments down below. So please let me know what you want to see. Also, don't forget, if you want to join the Netrix, please do so. Go to www.thenetrix.com. Sticky the Stickman from Stickville will be up there at some point in the next month or two. We've got a big backlog. We've got so much stuff that we're putting up there at the moment, but it will be up there. If you do want to join the Netrix, like I say, there's over 500 tricks there now, hundreds of slides, and we get bigger and bigger and bigger every single week. You want to go and check out the Netrix, please do so. Either way, thank you once again for joining me on Magic TV. I'll see you again soon. My name's Craig, and this is Magic TV.